level.
Our panel now, Elizabeth Harrington is a staff writer for the Washington Free Beacon. Michael Starr Hopkins is a contributor for The Hill. Thanks to both of you for being here. Elizabeth, a lot of hope is riding on this meeting at the White House happening right now. A lot of expectation for actual change coming in the wake of this country's latest mass shooting. Now, 2 weeks ago, will we see some?
Well, that remains to be seen because it's a very difficult issue. And I like what the White House is saying, that this shouldn't just be a feel-good legislation, because the problem with the gun control debate has always been that it's emotionally driven without the facts. And here we have this gun control debate in the last 2 weeks, a vitriolic campaign, a political campaign against the NRA before we knew the facts. And the facts are this was a mentally disturbed individual who was well on law enforcement's radar, that they had every opportunity to stop this guy before he did it. So the outrage, I think, is very misplaced at the NRA and should be directed at the Broward County Sheriff's Office and the FBI, for that matter.
And we'll see what happens with that, Sheriff. You talk about the NRA, Michael. More than a dozen businesses have now run away from the NRA as we do await to see what happens next with that sheriff, who says he has no plans to resign, even though there are many mounting calls for him to do exactly that.
Yeah, look, I think that there's blame to be placed all around. I think with the sheriff's office, I think with the NRA, I think with the American culture, I think there's blame to be placed. But I think that the president has an opportunity here to show leadership. And actually, I hope the president's watching right now, because what he needs to do is not only make sure that people feel safe, but also do something so that people can actually be safe. And those are just common sense things, like getting semi-automatic weapons off the street, making it so that if you've got to be 25 to rent a car, you shouldn't be able to buy a semi-automatic weapon at 18. These are just common sense things.
By the way, he has insinuated that he is willing to do that. He said that he's willing to raise the age to buy a long gun in this country. The NRA said that they didn't want to have anything to do with that still, and he's not listening to you right now, Michael, because he's engaging in a meeting with those governors at the White House. So this is
he's got a DVR, so he may be tuning in later.
This is an incredibly important meeting, Elizabeth, but 2 weeks out from that shooting now, there's obviously starting to be some concern when you get that far out that the conversation starts to change. Is it still going to be a priority? Will we see those changes at the federal and the local level? That is the discussion that is happening at the White House this morning.
Right, and I think the White House has been extremely engaged on this. They have met with not just victims, but local law enforcement, the meeting that they're having right now. But the problem is they're coming up with solutions that hopefully can actually address the problem, which is, I don't believe, tinkering with the age, when the core of the issue for these mass shootings we've seen over and over again has been mental health and how we can prevent mentally ill people from not being able to purchase guns. And that's also a problem with the background check system. And these people that should be on are on the radar of law enforcement, but they're not entered into the system that would prevent them from buying a gun. But when Michael says we need to just not allow semi-automatic weapons on the street, I mean, that is every gun we're talking about. Every gun is semi-automatic. Fully automatic are pretty much banned and very difficult to get. They're not on the street. But semi-automatic is every single gun, and that's not going to happen with the Second Amendment.
Michael, I want you to respond to that, but what I do want to do is reincorporate the voice of Batty Wilford, who just spoke at the top of the hour. She's still at the hospital, underwent multiple surgeries after being shot 2 weeks ago. She is expected to make a full recovery, but it's important that we continue to hear their voices. Listen.
I'm so grateful to be here, and it wouldn't be possible without those officers and first responders and these amazing doctors, and especially all the love that everyone has sent. And I was sitting on my couch today just thinking about all the letters and gifts that everyone has given, and just like all the love that's been passed around. I definitely wouldn't be here without it.
An emotional moment happening just a short time ago. And Michael, when we spoke to the White House, Hogan Gidley at the top of the hour, his exact words is the president will make recommendations soon. When I was asking them about the differences that we're hearing as far as the changes the NRA would be willing to and the changes that the president would be willing to support. So we'll see where this goes. Last word.
I would just say that at the end of the day, we have to get money out of politics, and that's really what this comes down to, because over 80% of Americans overwhelmingly agree that we have to address the issue of gun regulations. So get money out of politics, and we'll start having more honest conversations.
All right, an honest conversation hopefully happening at that White House right now. Thanks to both of you, Elizabeth and Michael.